Hi, and welcome to Three Questions with. Got my friend Patrick with us from Appletree Business Services. Hey, Patrick, how you doing today?
Kevin, I'm doing great. How are you?
I just living the dream, my friend. So, Patrick, let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about Appletree and what you do.
Appletree provides quality bookkeeping and tax services for small businesses. So if you have a company with 1 to 30 employees and you're looking for accounting help, we can take great care of you.
So, Patrick, I always chuckle when we talk about accounting because I find the majority of my friends do not like doing accounting.
Right.
I'm like, it's simple, outsource it. Because what happens is because we don't like doing it, we don't do it, Patrick. We put it off. And then 4 months later, we get around to it and like, whoa, I'm not doing very well. But because we weren't staying active on it, we may have missed rising costs or something we didn't factor in, or hey, sales didn't come in where we wanted it to. And all of a sudden, we're in financial trouble. You see that all the time?
Yes, unfortunately, small businesses too often just look at their, checking account and operate it. They look down and say, we have cash or we don't. Whereas what we want to do is have really good, clean bookkeeping that will tell you some of that data on, how you're doing sales wise, how your margin is. And then that helps you, forecast cash flows, know if you have room to hire. And also because we're doing tax services, we're much more proactive throughout the year so that you don't have big tax surprises, or you can do a little bit of tax planning, if you want to try to optimize that around tax time.
That makes sense, Patrick, because unfortunately I've seen it, where someone all of a sudden triple sales in 1 year. That's amazing. Congratulations. But they didn't plan for it from a tax standpoint.
Right.
And all of a sudden they sit down with you like, hey, Patrick, great news. I made all this money. And you're like, Kev, bad news. You didn't pay enough taxes. And unfortunately in life, we spend the money. So you're like, how much I owe, Patrick? I don't have that. And then maybe they try to hide, don't file. So
Right.
it makes sense to sit down, and review the numbers. So like if you are in that, hey, you're having an amazing year, we plan for it properly, right?
Totally. And, I know a lot of the people in your network are in New England, and there's big differences between whether you're in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, right? Based on, your tax strategy for your corporate and your personal returns. So yeah, we try to make sure to have a plan, not to have surprises, and, budget for that accordingly.
But Patrick, one of the things I see people do is just, hey, Patrick, I want to make more money. I'm going to offer different services. I'm going to do different things. But it makes sense to sit down with you and discuss where our profitability comes from. Because I have people doing so many different things. I'm like, Patrick, are you making any money doing that? Because you're allocating time to it. And I get it. We have a number in our head. I need to make X and whatever it takes to make X. But I may be putting a lot of effort into something that I'm not making money from that would have been better off putting effort someplace else. Can you help people with that type of decision?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that we try to get really clear on is, what is your overhead, your monthly break even, what is your cost of goods? We just did that this week with a construction and remodeling company who, the data came out right away. We recommended a few changes and they were able to really improve their cash flow situation, which would allow them to have room to hire a couple guys, which then, improves things dramatically because they have capacity and they can make more money.
You brought up a great point about the contracting company. When we went through that period where lumber was crazy expensive, well, if you weren't recognizing that and adjusting the cost, you've been doing a lot of free decks, that's for sure, because you weren't covering costs. So that's essential for something like that, where you go through a rising cost period to make sure you're sitting down and repricing your jobs quickly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Construction is an easy example right now. I think in any service firm as well, if you're the owner and you're involved in production and then you hire, it's easy to think like, okay, where did all my profitability go? Well, if you are involved in production and you're not pricing that or thinking about that, you'll be planning poorly.
Because I saw one of my friends who owns a restaurant do a post about that, like the cost of a box of chicken wings. I was like, oh my God, are those golden chicken wings? Like it just, but again, if you're not paying attention to that and just, you're selling chicken wings at the same price, you could be in for a lot of bad news, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's important to make sure that we're looking anytime we're doing any type of production to make sure that we're monitoring cost, or even when we hire people, do we need that full-time person? For a lot of people, that's a struggle. They're like, well, I'll bring them on and try to grow into them. But if they're eating into your profitability for the first year, you have to think that out. So you help
Mhm.
people with decisions like that, when to hire.
Yes, we just did that today. Company that produces yarn and fabric here locally, and she had a lot of cash on hand, and she was hesitant to hire. And we basically modeled it out to say, here's where the ROI would be, here's the risk, here's the potential upside, and it's clear that taking on a little bit more labor costs would pay off in terms of being able to get more product out the door. So,
Makes
but you
perfect
can't
sense.
you can't make any of those analyses until you have good, clear data in the first place and that it's up to date.
And that's what I find happen is people don't use the data. They just, hey, I need help. I'm going to hire somebody without understanding the ramifications, or, oh, great, Patrick, you just hired someone. Now you have benefits involved. Where you think in your head, oh, I'm going to pay Kevin $20 an hour, whatever it is, but you forget about the cost of the benefits, which
Right.
is going to be considerably higher. So Patrick, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they learn more?
Yeah, you can go online and look for Appletree Business Services. You can go directly to our website, appletreebusiness.com. You can send me an email, patrick@appletreebusiness.com, and would love to connect and see if we can help.
Awesome, Patrick. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes to call into the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thanks, Kevin.